Today's video is a sewing tutorial using my new pattern, Seashell summer dress, which is super comfy, not tight fitted, just perfect for summer. I love it, and this front detail reminds me of an open seashell. By the way, you can wear it as an off-shoulder dress too. Actually, I've made these shots for the video when it was only 8 degrees Celsius here, so I hope I managed to convey the summer heat vibe in these conditions because it's still a summer dress. So I hope my efforts on this video deserves a like. So let's get started. For the tutorial, I will use this texture light to medium weight cotton fabric. All the material usage and fabric recommendations you will find on the link in the description along with the pattern. With the fabric, we will need some narrow elastic and an invisible zipper. And of course the pattern pieces. Prepare your fabric and cut the pieces. Don't forget to transfer all the visible notches, as well as I recommend making notches on the folds. For example, on the waist of the front skirt. On the front bodice piece, there is a line at the bottom. You should make 1 cm long cut along it. This section is the opening for the channels we will make further. Now we should finish them. Fold these small sections and finish these edges on these sections only. It should look like this. To make neat tunnels, fold the curved center front edges over 5 mm and press. Stitch right sides together along the pre-pressed edges using 1 cm wide seam allowance, ignoring that they are in such pre-pressed way. If you want, you can press the seam open, leaving the pre-folded edges intact. Working from the wrong side, top stitch the seam 1 mm from the folded edge. This creates a tunnel for the strings at the center front. Repeat on the second side. Press the tunnels. Transfer the markings indicated on the back piece. Match the notches and sew the back darts on both back bodice pieces. Sew the side seams of the bodice right sides together. Finish the seam allowances with an overlocker or a zigzag stitch working from the front. Press the side seams toward the back, and press in intersections as a skirt. So let's move to the skirt. The first thing we should do is just sew the side seams, right sides together, finish them with an overlocker or a zigzag stitch and press towards the back. Then to gather the skirt along the waistline. One option is to gather by making 2 parallel stitch lines with the longest stitch your sewing machine has. Then start 2 cm away from the center back's edge and leave thread tails at the beginning and the end of the stitches. And then just gather by pulling 2 bobbin or 2 needle threads at the same time. But I will use a gathering foot. The gathering ratio for the skirt is included in the pattern. Knowing that, I'm setting up my gathering foot on the scrap piece so I can stitch the actual skirt with confidence and be sure it will fit the bodice after gathering. For my size, it's 2.4, so I have marked 24 cm on my scrap piece, so I should have 10 cm after gathering. I will set up my foot by changing the upper thread tension until I have exactly 10 cm between the markings after gathering. When you're done, attach the skirt to the bodice, leaving an opening at the center front for the strings. Be sure not to catch the tunnels for the strings when attaching the waist seam. The skirt is not attached at the very center front channels, but make a stitch on the skirt only here anyway, so it will hold the gathering. I'm stitching right in the previous gathering stitch line. The opening should remain here like this. Finish the waist seam allowance with an overlocker or zigzag stitch and press it toward the bodice. To create the strings, first fold the edges of the strings pieces over 7 mm towards the center and press, just like bias. Fold the pieces in half one more time and stitch 1 or 2 mm along the pre-folded edges. Press the whole ties. Finish one end on both strings by either folding the end twice and stitching to hem or making a knot in the end. Here is the opening. This is the finished end of the string. Attach a safety pin to the unfinished end of the string. Then insert the end of the string into the waist seam opening and thread it through the channel until it reaches the neckline. Repeat with the second string. Base the strings at the top of the front pieces to secure. Trim off the unnecessary tails. Let's move to the zipper. Check if your fabric doesn't stretch completely. Otherwise, I recommend adding a fusible interfacing to the center back edges. You can sew it any way you prefer. I'll already show you how I install invisible zippers in my other videos. Some of you don't get it, so I will show you one more time for those who are interested. So first finish the center back edges with an overlocker working from the right side. Place both back pieces right sides together and find where the center back seam should start. To find and mark the spot, measure your actual zipper length and it should start approximately 2 cm before the zipper completely opens. Stitch the center back seam. Press the stitch section of the center back seam open. I'm marking 1.3 cm from the top edge. This is where these plastic zipper upper stops should be placed. I switched the presser foot to an invisible zipper foot and open the zipper and place the zipper slider below where the zipper seam starts. You can pin or base down your zipper. I just start sewing it down 1.3 cm from the top edge until the point where the zipper center back seam starts. Then I close the zipper to match the waistline. I just mark a small dot on the second side of the zipper tape next to the waist seam. Now you can pin this mark with the waist seam of the second side and stitch the second side of the zipper confidently, knowing they will match. Pull the zipper slider through the remaining small hole between the zipper and the back seam and close the zipper. Now stitch this remaining zipper tape tail to the back seam allowances only. Press the zipper slightly and that's it. Now moving to the most delicious part, frills. One more thing to check right now. Check if your back necklines aren't stretchy. If they are, I recommend adding a strip or a tape of fusible interfacing to the back necklines. Fold the frill pieces in half lengthwise wrong sides together and press. We have already discussed in the skirt section that we can gather in two ways, so choose which one you prefer and gather the frill pieces. Press the frills slightly. Attach the frills to the right side of the front and back necklines. When sewing the frill on the back side, unfold the zipper to the right side and the end of the frill over 1 cm towards the right side before sewing it to the zipper tail. Let's see it one more time. If your fabric is very thick, but you still want to try making the dress anyway, it might not work here and cause bulkiness. In that case, I recommend refusing the frills on the back at all or moving the zipper on the side seam. Finish the seam allowance with an overlocker or a zigzag stitch working from the frill side. Finish the overlocker stitch near the zipper by making a knot from the loop threads. So now put the seam allowance towards the bodice, the zipper tail towards the bodice, and top stitch 1 or 2 mm away from the neckline, starting from the corner. With the seam allowance towards the bodice, top stitch the front neckline as well. Press the neckline and the frills lightly, being careful not to crush the gathers. Tighten the strings to create a sweetheart neckline and press the frills one more time in the V-shape area using steam. For some fabrics, pressing like this will be enough to create a nice neckline shape, but some fabrics will give an excess of frills in the center. Watch until the very end of the video to know how to get rid of this very quickly if you experience this. Finish the sleeve half edge with an overlocker or a zigzag stitch working from the right side. Fold the sleeve half over 4 cm and press. It's easier to press the hem while the piece is flat. Unfold the sleeve hem and stitch the sleeve seams. Finish the seam allowance and press them towards the back of the sleeve. Fold the sleeve hem again. Make 2 parallel stitch lines 2 cm and 3 cm away from the sleeve hem fold. Leave 1 or 2 cm wide opening near the sleeve seam to insert the elastic later. Sew the sleeve into the armhole section, matching the notches on the sleeve head with the neckline on the bodice, not the frill edges. Finish the seam allowance of the remaining sleeve head edge with an overlocker or a zigzag stitch, working from the right side of the sleeve. Fold the sleeve head seam allowance over 1 cm towards the wrong side and press using steam. Make a tunnel for the elastic by top stitching the sleeve head 7 mm away from the fold. Start and stop next to the neckline seam, not the frill edge. To finish the sleeve hem gathering, measure your upper arm and cut the elastic in 2 pieces using that measurement plus 1 cm. Insert one end of the elastic into the sleeve hem tunnel opening. Stitch the elastic ends together. Stitch the opening closed on the sleeve hem tunnels. Insert the elastic in the sleeve head tunnel via one of the openings. The measurement of the elastic of your size is given in the pattern. Leave 1 cm tail of the elastic at each end of the opening and secure them to the dress with pins. Top stitch the channel on the sleeve head parallel to the neckline to secure the elastic in the back and front. Finish the skirt hem edge with an overlocker or a zigzag stitch working from the right side. Fold the skirt hem over 5 cm toward the wrong side and stitch 4 cm away from the edge and press. Your dress is ready to try it on, and if you want to take it in the neckline, I suggest making 2 such tucks on each side of the tunnel. You can pin them on yourself previously. The seams won't be visible between the frills. And enjoy your perfect summer dress. Thanks for watching.